All right, everyone. So today what I wanted to do is make a guide on what stacks to use for Deboreka accessories because this is probably one of the most asked questions that people ask on my enhancing stream. And I thought I would go through what stacks you want to use for each enhancement level as well as why, and also some of the common mistakes that people use with their stacks for Deboreka accessories because I constantly see in my stream chat that people are failing, and then I look at the stack level and I see that they're using really, really bad stacks. And it turns out for each of the enhancement levels, there's actually very particular stacks you want to use to ensure the most optimal enhancing, that you're making your accessories for as good of a price as you can, give yourself as good of a chance as you can, and to avoid wasting a bunch of silver. So let's start off with the first enhancement level, and this is actually probably the one that people get wrong the most. This is probably the one that people waste the most money on, and that is going to be the base. So for regular accessories, the soft cap is 18, right? That's where you start to get a penalty, where you lose percentages for your enhancing after a certain point. You could see that if I put in like 17 here, let me actually put this to 0. You could see it's 67.5%, and then at 18 it goes to 70%, and then every level past that, it only goes up by 0.5%. So for a lot of the cheaper accessories, you want to use like 20 to 25 fail stacks. But the thing is, Deboreka accessories are really, really, really expensive. The bases are like 4 to 750 million silver each. And so what you actually want to do for enhancing base Deboreka accessories is you want to go to the hard cap. This is a very rare occasion where you want to go to the hard cap. If you don't know, the hard cap is 90%. And in order to get to the hard cap, you're going to need a fail stack level of 58. And you'll see here that as we get to like 56, 89%, 57, 89.5%, 58, it reaches 90%. And then any level past that is not going to increase it at all. It's going to be at 90%. So because Deboreka accessories are so expensive, this is one of the few times that for your base to pry enhancing, you actually want to use the hard cap, which is 58 fail stacks. Now, in order to get to 58 fail stacks, you probably want to use some Valk's Cry. And what you can actually do is if you go to your enhancing menu here, and you actually go, you can buy the stack directly from the Black Spirit with Blackstone. So just go to additional enhancement chance, and you'll see if you have no permanent levels, I have 5, but just imagine that you have 0. You have a 45 stack right there. And then you can add your Valk's Cry. You can actually add up to 13 of these if you've done all of the journals for this. If not, a couple of levels below 58 is not the end of the world, but you really want to have like an 87, 88, 89, 90% enhancement chance. A lot of people will enhance their base Deborekas at like 75, 80%. And it's much cheaper to just get extra fail stack levels with Blackstones and Valk's Cry than it is to buy a bunch more Deboreka accessories that cost, 4 to 750 million silver each. So for the base, as close to 58 as you can, that's really the only level that you want to do. And then that's going to bring us to the next one, which is going to end up being the Pry to Duo. Now, this one is a little bit more straightforward. And I'm going to show you guys some math here, although you can ignore this if you want to. But this little formula here is actually going to tell you what the cost of making an accessory is. So you put in the two base prices. So let's say for Deboreka's, they're 700 million silver each, and you need 2 of them to enhance. So 700 million plus 700 million. And then this X is going to be the percentage chance to enhance it. So we're going to go with 90% because that's what we want. And so it's going to tell us that the average cost to make a Pry Deboreka is going to be 1,555 million, which is 1.5 billion silver. Now you can see that if we drop this number to a stack that a lot of people will use, like 25 or 30, let's just say 30 here, a 76% chance. We're going to change this 90 number to 76, and you'll see how much more expensive it is to get that Pry Deboreka. Now the average cost is going to be 1,842. So it went up by 300 million silver. That's a lot. So it's much, much cheaper for you to just pay the extra Blackstones to get as close to 58 as you can. It's going to significantly lower the cost of getting your Pry Deberekas. And that's going to bring us to Pry to Duo. Now, Pry to Duo here, the soft cap for Pry to Duo is going to be 40 fail stacks. that's where it takes it to 50%. Basically, all duo accessories you want to be enhancing at the very minimum the soft cap. You can see if we bring it down to 39, it's going to go down by 1%. But once we get past 40, it's only going to give us 0.2% extra chance per enhancement level. Again, though, Deberekas are really, really expensive. So it's absolutely worth it to go a little bit past the soft cap for Pride Duo. So what I recommend, and this is going to be a little bit different for everyone, is what you want to try to do is for Pride Duo, you want to buy the highest stack that you can with Blackstones. That's really important. Not with your Devour, not with the Crystallized Despair. You want to buy the highest one that you can with Blackstones, which for me, I have 5 extra levels, but if you don't, that's 45. Add as many Valkyrie to it as you can, which hopefully is 13, but if not, it should be 10. And then that's the stack that you want to use. So it's going to be a little bit past what you are using for the base to Pride, probably somewhere around 60 to 65. And those extra levels are going to make a really, really big difference. And I'll actually show you again with the math. If you don't really want to pay attention to the math, that's okay. But you'll see how much money you actually save for every level that you go past on the Pride Duo. So if it costs us 1,550 silver to get a Pride, 700 million for the base. If we're enhancing at a 50% chance, the cost to get a Duo Deboreka is going to be about 4.5 billion silver. But now, if instead of using a 40 stack, let's bump it up to a 60 stack, you can see it gives us a 54% chance. And that 4% extra chance, if we run the numbers, that's going to lower the cost of our Duo Deboreka from 4.5 billion silver to 4,166. So we saved over 300 million silver on average just by increasing the stack by 20. And again, those lower fail stack levels are not really that expensive. You don't want to use Crystallized Despairs. You just want to use Blackstones. You want to use your Valkyrie. That's going to bring you to like a 4.2 billion silver average cost if we're using 700 million as the base. So Duo is not one that people typically tend to do wrong that much. It's pretty straightforward. The really big one, though, is Tri. And this is the one where people probably make the biggest mistake on. Because for enhancing a Tri accessory, if we go Duo to Tri, the soft cap is 44. So if you can see we go below, it's going to really reduce the chance by quite a bit. It goes up to 40.5%. After 44, though, each level only increases it by 0.15%. For most normal accessories, it's not worth going past 44. But because Deberekas are so darn expensive, remember it costs you over 4 billion silver on average to make your Duo Deboreka, we really want to add a lot of fail stacks past the soft cap for this one. So let's plug in the numbers for a Duo to Tri Deboreka with a 44 stack. So that's going to be like 4.2 billion, 700 million for the base. And then we're going to use the regular 44 stack enhancement chance, which is 40.5%. So the average cost for us to make a Tri Deboreka is going to be a little over 12 billion silver. That's if we use a 44 stack. However, for the Tri, really actually want to go as close to like 100 as we can. This is the one that you want to overstack the most. And you can see how big of a difference it's going to make. We have a 40% chance right here with the 44 stack. Let's go to like 90 fail stacks here. At 90 fail stacks, we've increased the chance from 40.5 to 47.4. And while that might not seem like a lot, keep in mind that at a 40% chance, you're going to be hitting about 1 out of every 2.5. So it's going to take you about 2.5 duos to make a Tri. At 47.4%, we're a lot closer to 50-50. So it's going to be closer to just 2 duos for every Tri. So we're basically saving like half of a Duo Deboreka, which considering that they cost like 4.2 billion silver to make, we're saving like almost 2 billion silver by using a 90 stack instead of a 44 stack. So now we go back to the math and we change this number from 405, which was 40.5%, to 47.4%. And you're going to see this number is going to go down a lot. So now the average cost for us to make a Tri Deboreka is now only 10.3 billion silver. We saved almost 2 billion silver by using a 90 stack instead of a 44 stack. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly 90. It can be, I would say, like anywhere from 80 to 100. But you absolutely want to overstack the Tri Deboreka. This is the one that is the most important one to overstack. I guess the base is also kind of important as well. but this lowers the cost of making them significantly. So now we're going to move on to the TET. Now the TET is also one where you have a little bit of flexibility. So the soft cap for a TET accessory, I think a lot of people probably know this, but it's 110. You can see if we go below 110, it lowers it by 0.25% every level. But if we go past 110, it only goes up by 0.05%. Now for basically every TET accessory, you want to use a 110 stack, except for the very, very expensive one like Deboreka's. This is one where you actually have a bit of flexibility. And I will say 110 is not absolutely terrible. Obviously, don't use anything below 110, even 109. Don't even think about it. 110 is the bare minimum. But personally, I think overstacking this one 30, 40, or even 50 levels, you're going to see how much value you actually get. Now, you might not realize it when you're enhancing, but an extra couple of percent on these really expensive items is going to end up saving you a ton of money over the long term. Obviously, luck is going to play into just doing one or two of them, but if you enhance a lot of these, that extra couple of percent is going to give you a really, really big advantage. So let's plug in the numbers for just 110. So we're going to use a cost of like 10.5 billion silver for the Tri Deboreka, 700 million for the base, and then 30% for a 110 stack. You're going to see that the average cost to make a TET Deboreka is going to be about 37.3 billion silver. That's with using a 110 stack. Now, let's change this, and there's a very specific number I want to use just to give you guys a little bit of a representation of why even just a few extra levels on these TET accessories make a really big difference. Let's bring the percentage up to 33.3, which I think is like 177, basically, 33.35. Now, you don't have to go this high. I would say anywhere from like 140 to 180. But the reason why I picked this number is if you're doing it at a 110 stack, 30% means 1 out of every 3.333. So it's going to take you 3 1/3 Tri Deberekas on average in order to make a TET. Now, if you go up to this stack level at 33.3%, it's only going to take you 1 in 3 Tri Deboreka necklaces in order to hit a TET on average. So basically what this means is you're saving about 1/3 of a Tri Deboreka necklace. Now, that might not seem like a lot, right? But if we go to the market and we take a look at some of the prices for Tri Deberekas and you actually see how expensive they are, that's TET. 10 billion silver, 11 billion silver. Now, these prices obviously might be different on your server. 11.3 billion silver, 10.7. So if we're saving 1/3 of a Tri Deboreka necklace and they cost like 11 billion silver each, we're saving like 3 to 4 billion silver by using a 170-ish stack instead of using a 110 stack. So that's a lot of silver. If you have some higher stacks that maybe you got from events or giveaways or the ball or just any sort of higher stacks that you have, I highly recommend you overstack the TET Deboreka at least 30, 40, 50 levels. 110 is not terrible, but it's better to overstack it at least a little bit. It might not seem like it, but trust me, you're saving a lot of silver considering how expensive these items actually are. And now for the final one, which is going to be for the Pen Deboreka. This one is pretty straightforward. If you are going to be going for a Pen Deboreka, I highly, highly recommend that you use a 300 stack. And one of the reasons why is worst case scenario, if you don't have any really high stacks, you can use the Origins to get this up to 300. That's the highest level that these will go up to, is up to 300. Then whatever your permanent levels are from your journals or your Valk's Cry, you're looking at like 300 to 315. Getting stacks past that point is very expensive and very risky. So, at a 300 to 315 stack for a TET Deboreka, I mean, we're going to be looking at like a 15-ish% chance, which is going to be, like roughly 1 in 6-ish. So 1 in 6, a little less than 1 in 7. It's pretty straightforward. I think Pen is probably the most straightforward one, which is going to be like anywhere around 300. I definitely wouldn't go below like 270, 280. Anything past 330, 340 is a bit unnecessary, but just anywhere around the general range of 300. The most important ones, and a little summary of this video, were for the base to pry. That one's really important. Make sure you use as close to 58 as you possibly can. And then the duo to try, that's the one that you definitely don't want to use 44 stacks on. You want to overstack it at least to, 80, 90, even possibly 100. And then the TET gives you a little bit of flexibility. Absolutely never use less than 110, but you can even go as high as 160, 170, and you are getting quite a bit of value for those levels. So if you use the proper stacks, it's going to significantly lower the cost of your TET, your TET and your pen Deberekas. And we're talking billions, if not tens of billions of silver on average. So using the correct stacks for these is really, really important. Anyway, this was one of the most asked questions that I get on my stream. If you guys are interested in my enhancing stream, it's twitch.tv/salt. Happy to answer more questions. Enhancing is basically what I do. I do a whole lot of it. We make a lot of stuff. And, if you have any enhancing related questions or you just want to tune in, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you guys enjoy this video and you want more enhancing information, enhancing tutorials, feel free to let me know, and I'll put some more guides out there. So thank you guys for watching. Till next time.